Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Garage Gym Athlete Podcast. I'm your host, Jared Moon. The Garage Gym Athlete Podcast is a result of my desire to build better humans, unequivocal coaches, and autonomous athletes. I've spent the last several years obsessing over program design, nutrition, and every other way you can optimize human performance. This podcast distills the latest scientific research with what I've learned and blends it with the not-so-scientific field of mental toughness. We are here to build you into a dangerously effective athlete. If you enjoy this podcast, you can find out more about our training at garagegymathlete.com. And if you want to pursue more into the field of coaching and programming, head to endof3fitness.com. Thanks for listening. All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Garage Gym Athlete Podcast. Jared Moon here with Joe Courtney. What's up, Joe?
Hey, how's it going?
Good. And we have Aaron March. How's it going, man?
It's great. It's great to finally meet you guys.
Yeah, it's nice to be talking in person. And if anyone's like, hey, March, that sounds a little familiar. Yes, we did have Aaron's wife on, Jessica, just a few weeks ago. And so it's great to get both sides of things, you know, and two different experiences with Garage Gym Athlete and just being a Garage Gym Athlete in general. But Aaron, I'm going to throw it to you, man. How about you give us a little background on, you know, what you do for a living these days and how you train?
Yeah, sure. So I'm 39 years old. I've been with Garage Gym Athlete for about 2 years. And prior to that, you know, I was just doing some like CrossFit stuff and things like that. And before that was military. As far as professionally, I'm in IT management. I'm a father, 2 kids. As you said, you met my wife, Jessica, a couple weeks ago. So yeah, that's me in a nutshell.
Yeah, man. And give us the breakdown of the garage gym setup. Jessica kind of mentioned it, but I'd love to hear who was the mastermind behind it. Was it you or Jessica?
Yeah. It was, I guess, my brainchild to start with. And I'm sitting here so I don't actually mess anything up in here. But, this was something that I was wanting to do for a while before I ended up pulling the trigger. But really what came to a head was just having our first child 5 years ago, right? And, with going through CrossFit and stuff, I was in the same boat as many people with CrossFit and just ending up getting a little bit injured here and there. And I just wasn't able to be as consistent as I wanted to be. So that played into it too. But really, as our daughter was born, there was just no time, right? So I ended up just saying, okay, we need to get something to get my fitness back in order, because I was just like walking around at 195, just ridiculous for my height, right? So it just was more than I wanted to ever and get on lockdown. So I started putting together a shopping list and wanted to do it all at once. And for the most part, I did, right? I a set of bumper plus pounds, full rack, kettle. Yeah, so I've got a full rack, got kettlebells from 15 to 60 pounds. We started off with just a rower for conditioning equipment, and later on picked up an Echo bike and a True Form trainer, which is really nice. I was having some problems with the concept too, actually, the rower in the colder months. For some reason, like the chain was just gunking up and not pulling correctly until the garage was warming up to a certain temperature. So I had to come up with some other means for cardio in the winter. And got a full set of bumper plates from, about 500 plus pounds, a couple of D balls, 30 and 70 pounds, full set of bands. Let's see if there's anything else in here. Some dumbbells. That's about it.
It's a nice setup. And so the big reason behind the Air Runner was the lack of functionality of the Concept 2 in the cold.
No, that was the reason for the Echo bike.
Oh, actually. The Echo bike. Okay.
Yeah. So we got that before we got the TrueForm trainer.
Okay, so TrueForm. And so how do you like the TrueForm? I'd love to hear, some of the reasoning behind getting it and how you actually like it.
Yeah, I love it. I mean, it has improved my running tremendously just out on the road. And it allows me to do some of the sprint training a little bit easier, transitioning from, an exercise on the barbell, just going into like a full sprint. It means, using another apparatus sometimes takes a few seconds to get up to speed on the rower, for example. With the TrueForm trainer, just like jump on and you just basically start running and you're up to speed very quickly.
That's crazy.
And that's, essentially every time we run into an athlete who has one of these, whichever brand it may be, I'm really just trying to get each one of you to sell me on it a little bit because I know that they're expensive and I'm like, okay, well, if I have enough ammunition here, I can, eventually pull the trigger on one. So that was good. That was a really great explanation.
Yeah. A lot of it is that I just want to be able to run. And we need to be able to be close to the house with 2 young kids and stuff like that. So, it just got to be a nuisance trying to plan my workout schedule around making sure when my wife is also home, because she was traveling quite a bit for work. So whenever she was out traveling, I wouldn't be able to go out on a run. And I would have to modify the workouts based around that a lot. Obviously not so much of a problem right now, but that was also part of the calculus.
And this might sound like a obvious question, but it's an honest question. And you kind of mentioned it, but do you feel like, after doing a lot of TrueForm running, as you're conditioning, do you feel like there is a good transition to when you get back out on the road? Do you feel like that the transition is 1-for-1 there?
I do way better out on the road than I do on the TrueForm.
Okay, great.
Yeah. So it's definitely a little bit different. It's hard to say. It's hard to pinpoint exactly what that difference is, but I know that running on the TrueForm all winter and then getting outside running my the 1 mile, I definitely had a recent PR, not a lifetime PR, but a recent PR doing that.
Awesome. All right, man. Well, let's get back to some of these other questions we have for you. And what I'm interested to know, the big reason behind starting the garage gym, it sounds like, just family life in general, kids needing to save time, be at home. But do you have any, goals or things that you're shooting for while training in your garage?
Yeah, while training in my garage, I think that it's not so much performance metrics, although those are important this year. To be honest, one of the things that I was really trying to do is do more socially with my fitness. Right. So I actually, before this pandemic came about, I rejoined a local CrossFit gym and was starting to go there once a week. I'm probably never going to go back as like full time or anything like that, but I like being able to see people and do some workouts here and there with other individuals. And so we all know how that turned out right now. So
right. Interesting that the goal, the timing of that goal. It's awesome.
Yeah. We signed up for a Spartan race and that's no longer happening. And so it's really unfortunate. So I'm going to have to push these goals out maybe a year. But, as far as performance metrics, things like that, I'm very close to getting 3 times my body weight in my deadlift. So
That's huge.
I'm looking forward to doing that soon. So I'm maybe like 15, 20 pounds off of that.
That's awesome, man. I'm always way more impressed with relative PRs like that, as opposed to just like someone's like, I'm shooting for a 500-pound deadlift. I'm like, okay, but if you weigh 300 pounds, whatever, but a triple body weight deadlift is no small accomplishment. So that's awesome.
Yeah, this is honestly the lightest I've been in my adult life, and the most that I'm lifting. I mean, in true weight and by body weight.
That's awesome. All right, and you mentioned you were kind of doing CrossFit prior to Garage Gym Athlete, and prior to that, military. So kind of walk us through that, because you're a Marine, right?
Yes.
Okay, so yeah, just kind of walk us through what fitness looked like in your military career up to transitioning to CrossFit. I know it's a pretty easy transition for a lot of military people to get into CrossFit. I'd love to hear how you kind of got into it and what you were doing in the Marine Corps.
Yeah. So Marine Corps, we were doing our regular PT sessions there, and it was, it was hit or miss. Sometimes, depending on who I was with and where, we would do different style stuff, right? So sometimes it was more CrossFit style workouts in these more functional gyms. Sometimes we were doing more bodybuilding stuff. So I was on ship for deployment in 2008, and on there was like nothing for us to do, and there was a gym. So I was between our berthing and the gym doing bodybuilding stuff, right? Getting as big as I could, as the Marine Corps would allow, right?
So, name of the game.
Right.
Yeah.
And how do you feel, just out of curiosity, and the reason I ask is because for anybody who doesn't know, the Marine Corps fitness test is a bit different, and now the Army's changed. We kind of talked about that with another athlete, but the one thing I've always found crazy about just the Marine Corps test in general is that 3-mile run, and the standards to max it out are pretty legit. How do you feel, doing a lot of like cross training type stuff? Do you feel like it helped you in that capacity, the 3-mile run?
Yeah, I think that in the Marine Corps, you just have, just a different set of ideas of what you need to accomplish, and you just kind of force your body to do it. Not to mention, your promotions are based upon what you put out in your 3-mile run. So you are incentivized to go as fast as you can.
Yeah, it's just crazy. I've had a lot of Marine friends, and I just like at some point, a lot of them got to like, 18, 17 minute 3 miles, and I wouldn't even really consider them runners. And I'm just like, dude, you just like mentally, you like gritted your way to do that. And that's very impressive.
Yeah. I think my best time was in the 20s somewhere. But I mean,
still flying.
I'm not hitting anywhere close to that right now, and I do a lot more aerobic type of conditioning. I'm sure if I were to really push, we could knock something out. But, I don't have the track around me. I don't know. I'm not going to make excuses for it. It's just, I don't have the same incentives. Let's put it that way.
Oh no, I get it, man. I get 100%. And being more well-rounded, I think, is more important than how fast you can run 3 miles, especially with life now,
Mm-hmm.
And so how do you like training in your garage?
Yeah, I mean, I love it. I think that it's, I like having the time to myself. I like being able to just get some time into, it's basically moving meditation, right? You can get out and make yourself better. And while you're doing it, you can just reflect on life and things in general. And I think that it gives me that hour and a half to myself almost every day, where I can just kind of center myself and make sure that I'm getting healthy and staying healthy all at the same time.
And do you train early?
I do. Yeah. First thing in the morning. So with the kids, it's tough to find time during the day. And obviously like whenever work is normal, I'm just gone during the day. Right. So it's just a matter of when I'm able to. So I've always been kind of an early riser. So it's really been very natural for me to get up first thing in the morning, have a cup of coffee, sit down, just get myself ready to go outside. Basically, get up at about 4:30 and get outside maybe a few minutes after 5.
That's awesome. And there are actually a good amount of garage gym athlete couples doing this. I'm asking this question for them. I'm one of those, by the way. My wife and I are both do the programming. Joe is one of those. So how do you balance like the training? Do you guys do it together? I know that's tougher with kids. Like, do you guys have a schedule? Like, how do you guys typically work that out?
Yeah, we tried for a little while. I mean, there's a couple limitations. One is just space. We're in a 1-car garage here. Would love to have a little bit more space, but that's just not in the cards right now. So that was a bit of a challenge. Not to mention, there's lots of instances where one or both of the kids will wake up early and will need some assistance to, get back to sleep or whatever, early in the morning. And if one of them gets up, one of us has to interrupt our workout. And so that's a big thing, right? So we don't want to have to do that. So it's, we do one right after the other, right? So I'll go in first and then my wife will go in.
That's awesome. Good plan. Joe, how do you work it out when you guys are both co-located?
Well, when we did way back when, it was a big enough space that we could work out at the same time. The pull-up bar, there was only one, so sometimes it would be juggling that way. And we also only had three barbells between us, but if they required multi ones, or like we only had 4 horse stall mats as well. So like just getting the right logistics of not being in each other's way and not being in the rack was kind of a jumble, like just kind of like Tetris. But other than that, it's we never really got in each other's way. Sometimes conditioning, it would have to be smart about rotating on and off. If like we needed to row, instead of just like run row or something like that.
Yeah, and that's what we've been doing. Just my experience so far. Emily and I've been trying to work out kind of right at noon because I have 3 kids. Eleanor, my youngest, she still naps, and so when she goes down, the boys, we typically just force them to like play outside while we're working out. But then we try to like deconflict the workout. Like if I have to flip my workout and do conditioning first, and where we don't run into each other, we do that. I normally am the one who takes the hit. I'll be okay. I'll do the programming out of order, so you can do it in order. And yeah, that's kind of how we do it. And for anyone out there, that's why we all went over that. But Aaron, man, what is the hardest workout you've ever done?
I was thinking about this, and the Marine Corps definitely has you do a lot of stupid hard workouts with the emphasis on really stupid. The first thing that I thought about was like a gas mask run that I did in Kuwait before anybody was acclimated to the summer heat. It was just ridiculous.
Good God. Yeah.
But really, I think the hardest training is the training that you're doing that, well, first of all, you're not prepared for. And second, in a group environment, right? So you have, you want to save face and you want to make sure that you're not a drag on the team's morale or anything like that. And I'd say that the hardest training event that I've ever had to go through in my life would be the indoc session in the Marine Corps, right? Because really nothing in my life that I had done had prepared me at all for going into the Marine Corps. Prior to that, I was a chemistry major at the University of Pittsburgh, right? Decided to get out of that, went into the Marine Corps, and it just really shocked my system. So, they basically deprive you of all kinds of sleep, make you do all kinds of ridiculous stuff. And they end it all with making you get your initial issue of gear and then pump it for like a couple miles over to your first set of barracks. And it was just like a ridiculous culture shock, right? As well as a physical shock, right?
Yeah,
I think that was probably the hardest thing.
Yeah, I've had some experiences like that, military related too, where you look back and it's like, I mean, things like sleep deprivation and whatnot, like some of those things can't be recreated, but you feel like you would be better able to handle them now and maybe control yourself a little bit better, even though it would still be awful. But the shock, what you're talking about is like being unprepared for something. I think that's a really like, intelligent thing to say, because that is like the biggest part of it. If you're really well trained and prepared for something, it's not shouldn't, even if it's the hardest thing in the world, it's not hard for the person who's prepared. But if you're going into something blind, like, good luck. Now, in your opinion, what's the best activity for building mental toughness?
For building mental toughness, I think it's been said before on this podcast, but I think it's having kids, right?
Yeah.
For me, I think it's definitely that. And if that's not in the cards for you, I think it's trying to teach, coach, mentor, things like that. I think that it's not necessarily the same, but it definitely can help you mentally dealing with sometimes aggravating experiences, but it also builds up your own core knowledge, and it makes your interpersonal relationships a lot better at the same time.
Yeah, and I think good parents, are what make it a mental toughness challenge. Because I think you could be a bad parent and not even like pay attention to your behavior, what you're doing. But everything you're talking about is like, because of the pursuit of wanting to be good at what you're doing is what makes it that mental toughness challenge. And I 100% agree. Kids have built up my mental toughness more than I ever thought would realistically be possible.
Yeah, it's definitely a challenge.
Now, if you could only have one piece of equipment to train with for the rest of your life, what would it be?
For me, this is really a no-brainer, and it may be a little off script, but it would be my phone. Right? Let me tell you why. So basically, I think that for me, my phone is the mechanism by which I get my coaching, right? And for me, I think that is at least as valuable as a barbell or a kettlebell or anything like that, right? So I definitely appreciate what you guys do and in pushing that to me, and what I'm able to get from that.
I think that's an awesome answer, man. And Jessica, I think it was the clock, right? You guys have some awesome answers. Very insightful. Now, Joe, you got anything? I'm trying to remember what Jessica's answer was to your question, and I think she said nothing, right? She was like, "I got it all."
Yeah. So, what do you want to add to your gym?
Yeah. So see what Aaron wants.
I have a laundry list of stuff that I want, but I'm running out of room. So the first thing I need is space, right? So that's absolutely top of my list is more space. But I mentioned earlier that I'm running out of, I mentioned earlier that I'm about to hit my 3 times body weight for my deadlift. Once I get to that point, I'm literally not going to be able to add more weight to my bar, just because my bumper plates are so fat. So I'm going to have to get some, like, a new bar probably.
Need to get some iron.
Yeah, that would work too.
Yeah, it's do you have a normal barbell? It's just really fat, the big fat, like 45-pound bumper plates.
Yeah, exactly.
Gotcha.
Just get a set of iron hundreds.
Yeah.
You'll be set for anything you can lift.
Those are still pretty
I was actually
thick,
thinking about that. Yeah.
Yeah, if you get one or a pair of hundreds, yeah, you would you could load up just about anything you need after that.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I did. I went to the best deal that I have found, and probably impossible to find right now if you're listening to this during the pandemic. But Dick's Sporting Goods, I think it's like $189. You get a really crappy barbell and 300 pounds of weight, but the weight is the weight, and they're iron plates, and they're all different sizes, which I hate, but they are thin, which is good, and that's typically what I do when I'm going heavy.
Yeah, I just got my irons from Dick's, but it was just like pieced together all the small ones because I only had like the bigger bumpers, like 45s and 25s, but I needed a bunch of 10s and other stuff. So I just went there because the irons price for them was really, really good.
All right, Aaron, there are a lot of garage gym athletes out there listening to this, man. What would your best advice for them be?
Yeah, I was thinking about this one as well, and this is a hard question. I think in life in general, it is to seek out and listen to inspiring people and allow yourself to be inspired.
Love it, man. And I really appreciate you being a part of the community. You've been around for 2 years, and, Jessica's with you now. And just love having you guys in the community, and for, trusting the training and letting it take you where it has. And I appreciate every bit of that. And I appreciate your time today, man. Thanks for listening to the Garage Gym Athlete podcast. If you want to learn more, go to garagegymathlete.com. You can learn about our training. Let us send you a copy of our book, The Garage Gym Athlete, or you can even get featured on the Garage Gym Athlete podcast. Thanks for listening.